Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Shaniqua Inspires YouTube channel. I am your host here for today, Shaniqua Inspires. And you know that this is the Black Girl Encourage Her podcast. You know, what we do is we get together and we start talking about encouragement, and we bring on phenomenal speakers that kind of light that flame underneath you. But this month we are doing a special, and that special is the Black Girl Write Her, because here we are going to feature some amazing writers. We're going to talk to them about their books and why they started writing and all of the above. So I hope that you are ready. Get your pencils, get your pens, get your paper, because I am going to be bringing together some of the most fabulous writers that I know, and they are going to leave some words and wisdom with you that, of course, is going to encourage you, but it's also going to help you. Maybe you're trying to make the decision as to whether or not you want to become a writer, and you need to see some examples. So when I thought about doing this series, the very first author I thought about, of course, it has to be my brother. Welcome to the stage, Lee. What's up? What's up? What's
What's going
up?
on? What's going on? How you doing?
I am doing really, really good. I am excited. Listen, when I started to think about this series, the Black Girl Write Her. Now, mind you, we always use that her, but a him always comes to mind. And I can never ever leave out my brother. This is my biological. This is we in the womb. We shared a womb together. So this is not just that cliche, oh, that's my brother. What's up? This
Yeah.
is my flesh, blood. This is the real deal right here. So I'm always
Mm.
excited to have you on the stage to share space with you, because I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud of all of the things that you've accomplished. So with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for always allowing me to come crash the ladies' party. Yeah.
Yes,
Um, yeah, I'm Lee Hodge. I'm published author. I'm Osho in Buddhism. That's basically a Buddhist priest. Have a master's in Buddhist ministry. Um, Mindfulness counselor. Out here trying to help the people.
I hear that. I hear that. And the people need help, whether they
Yeah,
admit to it or not. They need help.
yeah, yeah.
And one of the areas that you focused on, I know in your professional life, you do behavioral health specialist, you are mindfulness
Yeah.
coach. Tell us, what's the importance of this mindfulness? People hear me talk a lot about that mindset shift. What's so important about it in the first place?
Well, I always like to say, in mindfulness is all about concentrating and focusing on the now. I know it's kind of cliche, but people say, the future has gone, the present's not here, the future's not here, excuse me. All we really truly have is the now. It's
Hmm.
so true. So focusing on what's going on right now is just so important. It helps people minimize their stress and their frustrations because concentrating on yesterday, that's gone.
Yeah,
Yes, yesterday's gone. So now what do we do now? Now what?
it's true.
Yesterday's gone. Um, okay, so let's what we're gonna do? Let's concentrate on now because that's truly all we have.
Yes,
So I
it's
know a lot of
true.
times it's cliche to say that, but it's so true. So my job is just to kind of help. When I'm dealing with my clients, they love when I bring them to right now. Sometimes they
Hmm.
deviate and go other places. I bring them right back, and they're like, okay, okay. So and they appreciate
That's
it.
good. That's good. And actually, if you look up the word future, and I remember I was speaking at an event in Illinois, and one of the speakers that was also there, she was sharing the definition of the word future. And if you look
Mhm.
it up, the word future actually represents that time, like right after you say it. So it literally becomes the now. So
Yeah,
here's the future.
yeah,
Here's the future again.
yeah.
Like, and it
So
keeps
true.
shifting,
It's
but it's
so
a
true.
matter of what you do in the now, what you do in this moment here, right before
Yeah,
you, that will literally change the trajectory of
yeah,
said future.
yeah.
So I love that mindfulness and the help that you bring to the community as a whole.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to become a writer?
Well, to be honest, I have to give a lot of the credit to you, because I've had all these things in me, and me and you had this conversation before. Um, why didn't I decide to just put the pen to paper and share it? I don't know. But you kind of
Mhm.
brought it out me once you said, hey, I got this publishing company. I know you got stories. Let's go. And that's why the first book wasn't hard for me to write because all that stuff was in me. It was there. So I have to give the credit to you for that. You brought that out of me, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I just like to make the process easy. So with Stronger Through Faith Media, it is about making it easy. You know, everybody has a story to tell. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of whether or not you're willing to get out of your own way in
yeah,
order to tell your story.
yeah,
So I appreciate that. And who wouldn't I do it for? Like I would, if I'm going to do it for everybody, you know, strangers that I meet, of course, I'm going to start at home. I'm going to start at whoever will listen in my family. And so I'm thankful to you for taking a chance, like just saying, you know what, my sister says that this is possible. Let's do it.
yeah.
And you
You
haven't
didn't,
stopped.
it's not like you didn't have to pull my leg. You had to.
You sure
I
did.
was on board. I was on board. I was like, let's go. Great idea. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I'm going to bring this point up. I remember back in the days, like you were a rapper, like you was
Yeah,
writing
yeah,
down
yeah,
lines and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Where
Poet,
are
all of that.
those lyrics
Yeah, yeah.
that you used to write? Do you still have those?
You know, I don't have any of my old rap books. None. I have none. Yeah, I
Wow.
have none. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I moved a lot and probably got
Hmm.
lost in the transition. Yeah,
Wow. So that's literally that could have been like the legacy. We could have
yeah,
converted all of those over into books, poetry
yeah,
books, right? They didn't have to be
yeah,
actual rap songs, but they literally could have been poetry, lyrical
yeah,
readings for people. So you
yeah,
never know. Maybe one of these days you might find them, or you might start thinking of some of the old lyrics that you had and start penning them. But
yeah.
let's talk about this first book.
Right.
So this is the start. This is what got the momentum going. And you mentioned that this book was easy for you. And I have my little sticky here from
Okay.
where I wanted to pull a quote. But this book is entitled Deep into the Abyss of the Mind. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about this book in particular.
Well, this book in particular, I'm big on just digging deep.
Hmm.
Going beyond the surface, just going all the way to the abyss.
Hmm.
So that's what made the title a little bit easier. I just wanted to get people to just reach deep. I've come
Hmm.
across a lot of people who just think on the surface,
True.
and I've noticed that it caused lots and lots of frustrations. And I
Hmm.
was like, you have to dive. You have to really deep, dig deep and see what's going on. Sometimes you need someone to kind of facilitate and help you with that. So
Yeah.
that's why I decided to kind of write that book and help people how to go deep. Because it's one thing to tell people, hey, go deep. Okay, how
Hmm.
do I do that?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
sounds good, but how? So I was like, okay, let me show you how.
Right. And this book literally just scratches the surface. Now,
Yes.
before we talk about the next book, one of the things that you just said like really stuck out to me. We don't go deep into stuff. We do stay at the surface. And what came to my mind is some of the things that transpires here in society, the things that we've seen. And even going, and I'm going to take it back to something that everybody would probably remember, was that time that situation between Will Smith, the infamous situation that occurred.
Yeah.
Everybody looked at it on the surface. So
Surface, right.
everybody formulated thoughts and opinions. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying who was right, who was wrong. I'm just saying
right,
that a lot of it, we stayed right at the surface. And then
yes,
we generated an opinion. And then we made decisions based off of that opinion that we
right,
generated on the surface. But I think if we had looked a little deeper, if
yeah,
we had gone deeper and looked at the why, and again, we're not trying to justify,
right,
but understanding what made somebody think that way, that or to think that it was okay to do this in this platform, you would unlock so much more. And we could apply that to a lot of
everything, every
situations.
every situation. If you sit back and just be mindful, you
Mhm.
know, you might do things a little bit different. Nine times out of
Right.
10, you will do something different. Even you're arguing with people. Sometimes it's good to take 10-minute break before you say something that you can't retract. I'm sorry sometimes doesn't cut it all the time.
That's true.
You know,
And even sometimes after the words are said, so even after the incident has occurred, if you take a moment and you self reflect and you go deeper for yourself, okay, so why did I do that? What was the root cause that
hmm
allowed me to react in that manner? Whether you did something um, out of character, whether you did something in character, whatever the
hmm
case may be, because I'm big on that. I'm big on self reflection. So why did I
hmm
make that decision? Why did I
right,
choose that instead of that? And
right.
not that I beat myself up over it, but it's just to see where I was at, where my
You have to have
mindset
compassion for
was.
yourself. You have to have
Exactly.
compassion for yourself. I tell people all the time, don't beat yourself up.
Hmm.
You know, we have we have that ego self and we have that true self. A lot of people, promote the ego as this bad, evil thing, but no, the ego needs, some coaching and some empathy. And like I tell people, sometimes you gotta take the ego and rock it like a baby. It's your baby, it's you. You're not
Yeah,
gonna, you're not gonna, talk bad about your baby. You're gonna console your baby, and all know it's crying and crying and crying. You're gonna console your baby. You're going to
absolutely.
feed your baby. You're going to make sure your baby is okay. You're going to try to find out what's wrong with your baby. So you got to do the
I
same
like
with the
that,
ego.
and you mentioned about the ego, and especially when you study the mind, they talk a lot about the ego. I made a comment in one of my live videos that I do, and I talked about the flesh, and the flesh says that I did this because of XYZ, and I actually exposed myself, and I said, yes, I made that decision because of money. That was the flesh. That was the ego. I wanted money. I did that because I wanted money. I saw an opportunity and money was my driving factor. But now that I'm self reflecting, I can look back on it and say, well, was that the best decision? And I'm like, well, at that moment in time, I thought I was making the best decision. But now I
Right,
can sit back and I can say, well, I see where that situation turned sour because this was the drive. This was the motive behind
right,
it.
right.
But again, that's the ego. But
Uh-huh.
I was checking the ego. I was soothing and I said, okay, you may have reigned there, but now I'm going to take back control and be able to think clearly. So all of this is about really self-checking, right? Instead of
Right.
somebody else having to check you, it's really about being able to self-check and to go deeper into what's
Yeah.
going on into your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, things of that nature.
Let's keep
So,
in mind that the true self is both and the ego
mhm,
self is either or.
yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. So, and I actually have been. When I heard you say that one time before, I've adopted that as part of what it is that I say. What
Yeah.
if it is either like, why do we have to choose either this
Right.
or that? Is it black? Is it
Right.
white? What if there's
Right.
something in the middle? And we
Why
would
can't it be
totally
both
miss
ends? Yeah.
exactly. We can totally miss it if we're not willing to go deeper. So I love this book. It goes deep, but it stays right at the beginner's stage,
Yeah.
right? It goes
Yeah.
at the beginner stage. It doesn't go
Yeah.
too far for people. But then you have deep into the abyss of the mind part two. So
Right.
what's the difference between, in your opinion, between book one and book two?
I think book two, like you said at the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go deep, but still a little surface. Book two was kind of like, okay, by now you should understand my thought process.
Mhm.
So now we're gonna go a little bit deeper. Not too much, but we're gonna dive a little bit deeper and just give you because baby steps.
Yes.
So we went just a little bit deeper.
Good,
That's
good,
all.
good.
Different
Now
subjects.
in book one, you talked about some key components, and I actually have a quote here from inside of book one, and this is one of your personal quotes that you put in the book, and it says, "Happiness is the ultimate goal for all. All walks of life want peace and happiness. Happiness helps us not lose minutes or hours off of our lives, for every moment in peace counts." So, explain this concept, explain happiness, and how we can go a little bit deeper in that.
Well, happiness to me, point blank period, is just all about being at peace. Happiness is
Mhm,
not the new car. Happiness is not the new love interest. It's not any of that. It's
mhm.
just peace. And I know it
Yeah.
sounds so like so. I had somebody say that just sounds so boring, though.
Why?
I was like,
Peace is
well,
good.
some people want the car, and that's good, but happiness is just being at peace. That new car gets old.
It
That
does.
new house, the sink starts breaking down, and the furnace starts breaking down, and the water heater. Like so, peace. Once you have peace, there's nothing that could take that away
I
unless
love
you
it.
allow it. Yeah.
And who's to say peace is not exciting? Like we think peace is this humdrum, boring kind of a way of living, sitting old on your rocking chair, is at
No,
the end of the
no,
road. Who says peace has to be
no.
like that? That's your
Peace,
peace. That's
yeah,
you
yeah.
boring then.
Peace is peace can be just unbothered.
Yeah,
Unshaken. Being that raincoat in a world full of rain.
yeah,
You know, peace can be, yeah, beautiful. It doesn't have to be boring.
exactly. My peace looks like me turned up in Miami on the beach somewhere having a good time
Yeah,
because
yeah, whatever
my
that
life
is.
would be so at peace if I were
Yeah,
able to do that without any problems.
yeah, yeah. You feel better,
So
you do better, you look better. You
absolutely.
know? Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us, why should, well, first of all, before we ask why, who is this book for? So Deep into the Abyss of the Mind. This is book one. You also have Deep into the Abyss of the Mind, book two. Who would you say is the target audience for these books?
That's interesting because most people would say this is for the people who need it and they're going through issues and having problems, but honestly, it's for everybody. It's for those
Mhm.
who, might have it figured out. Because when you read that book, you can help someone else that doesn't, or it can help you go deeper in your studies. It is, of course, it's for those who's going through issues and problems and you know letting things bother them. So it's for pretty much everybody. Everybody can benefit from that book. Um, Most people won't pick it up, and I think I discussed that in one of my books. I forget if it was one or two. How I discussed
Okay.
how some people won't pick up a self-help book, and I
Hmm.
kind of explain a little bit like why people won't.
Yeah. So why would you say somebody wouldn't do this? Why wouldn't they? They see you here, you're on this platform, they see the book is available on Amazon, and they're hearing all the good stuff, that it's going to help them go deeper. Why would somebody dismiss the availability of self-help?
a lot of us are attached to who I am,
Mm. Hmm.
and they feel like if I read this book or any other self-help book, um, I may start changing who I am, and they start attaching to and holding on to that who I am factor. And they
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're gonna lose who they are, whatever that looks like, you know. So that's the key point takeaway from why people won't, you know, pick it up because it's like I'm not trying to be that. I'm this and I'm gonna remain that and this is who I am. And that whole ego self just takes over the body and the
Wow.
mind. Yeah.
Wow.
So
They're
some people
scared of
just don't
change.
find it. Yes,
Mm.
very scared. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
change is scary. I'll
It
admit
is.
to that. Change is scary, but it's
Yeah.
worth it. I
But
find
the
that
one
it's
thing I
worth
say
it.
about change, the one thing I will say about change though, you don't see it coming. You don't feel it. There's no feeling. It's just, you know, if you take how I used to be, anybody that know me, you know, growing up in the projects and that whole project mentality, um, I was that once upon a time. Um, in the shift, you don't feel anything. You just
Hmm.
you just like you wake up and oh, I'm on the other side of the shore now.
Hmm.
Like there's no feeling. So nothing to be afraid of because you there's no feeling. It's just you wake up, you're like, whoa, I'm this different person. And it
Yeah.
didn't hurt. It it just shifts. So the shift doesn't hurt. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I
it
like
doesn't
that.
hurt. It doesn't hurt. It just it happens. You like I said, you wake up on the other side of the shore and you're there. You're like, whoa, okay, you're
Yeah.
here.
And that's what the
You're
baby
different.
steps do. The baby steps
Yeah,
ease you into it. So like I said,
yeah,
the next thing you know, you wake up and you're on the other
yeah,
side of the issue.
yeah, yeah.
The tears have
Just
dried
like
up.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like that. Just like that.
I love it. I love it. So we understand the value that comes from this book. So don't get this book if you're not looking to change your mind, but if you're willing to open up your mind to a different perspective that might be different than what you're accustomed to thinking, right? It's
Yeah,
okay to challenge thought processes, and this is how we get to fully formulate a concept, right? If
yeah.
you're just thinking based off of the way grandma did it, the way daddy did it, you're preconditioned.
The
But
way
can you
social media
challenge?
tells me to do it.
Yeah. Could you challenge your mind to think a little deeper? Can you go beyond that? Well, why did grandma do it that way? Why
Yeah,
did daddy do it that way?
yeah,
Just to go a little bit deeper. So these books actually really do challenge,
yeah, they
and we
do.
love a good challenge. We
So
love
yeah,
a good challenge.
I've had some people read my book. They was like, man, I didn't like that chapter, but I like that chapter.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, what else is next? What do you have on the horizon? Are you still writing?
I am. Book three, um, Awakening Presence, a guide to mindfulness mastery. You
Hmm.
got it here first. That is the title of the next
Yeah.
book. And it's going to be deeper than the second book, but not to be frightened. I won't go too, but it's time to go a little bit deeper now. We're on book three now.
Like you've evolved, you're growing up a little bit more.
Yeah,
You should
yeah,
be around about teenage years now.
yeah,
So now you'll be able
yeah,
to handle a bit
yeah.
more of it.
Yeah, and I talk
I
a lot
love
about mindfulness, so I'm going to go deep into mindfulness mastery and get the people on board and help people out.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's talk a little bit about your writing journey because somebody might look at you and say, well, you used to write lyrics, so this might come
Yeah,
easy for you.
right.
How would you describe just your process, your whole writing journey from where you started to where you are currently, what would you
Right.
describe it as?
So my journey, like I said, the first book was a little bit easier because I had so much built in me. It was just
Mhm,
like put pen and paper. The second book, so me, I just kind of like a sponge. I soak up life, and I'm very
mhm,
mindful of everything around me. And I draw from everything from conversations I have from people. I draw from television shows. You know, so the process is just me absorbing all sorts of things, and then I'll
yeah,
put my thoughts on paper, and I'll just come back to it. I don't mess with it. I just put the thought down, and then I'll just keep coming back to it. I let life and I let the universe just speak to me and give me all the tools. And then when I'm
yeah.
ready to kind of expound on what I wrote down, then I just go for what I know.
So you take baby steps with the process. And that's
Yeah,
one of the things that I always tell my clients to just brain dump. You can
yeah,
make sense of it later. Just brain dump.
yeah,
And then at least it's out. At least
yeah,
you've released it. And then you could always go back and put the pieces of the puzzle
yeah,
together. So
yeah.
I love that.
I think to myself, what do people need? What am I hearing
Mhm.
on social media? What am I hearing from friends and family?
Yeah.
You know?
So what would you say if you had to describe like what's a key issue that you're seeing, because you see clients on a regular basis, Monday through
Right.
Friday. So what's that key thing that kind of is mimic itself? Like, people are constantly coming in with this key thing, or maybe it's even on social media. You see postings of it's like the same thing. Like, as a mental health expert, what would
Mhm.
you kind of hone into as one of the problem areas that we're facing nowadays?
Just you know, learning how to dig deep, take a step back. Um,
Mhm.
we live in this microwave society where we want things now. People don't want to put, the bread in the oven no more. you
I ain't
know,
got time to be mixing no flour and water. What you mean? Let it sit, let it rise. What
Exactly.
you mean?
Exactly. So, just being mindful and being careful of how you say things.
Mhm.
That's like the key thing. That's huge
Yeah.
to me, learning how to dial back, learning how to, like I said, in the midst of an argument, learn how to say, give me 5 minutes instead
Mhm.
of, someone said something and now you automatically want to have a rebuttal
Mhm.
versus
Yeah.
they said that, hold up, let me think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, now
Yeah.
versus because if you're saying this and I'm saying that, no one's listening to nobody.
You're just
And
reacting.
yeah, and then when things
You're
blow
literally
up,
just reacting based off of
right,
what you just heard.
right,
You're reacting in the emotions. If they
yeah,
said something that was sideways, you're just jumping
yeah.
at it.
And
And
most of
I
the
and I
time,
get.
when we think, we come back later, and again, we're kind of sorry. I didn't mean to
Mhm.
say that. Yes, true, but you said it,
Yeah.
and should have
And
been
there
more
was some part
mindful.
of it that was
Yeah,
true. There was some
yeah,
truth in it.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're more mindful, you can think about it a little bit better. And mindfulness is not easy because we're so programmed to how we are, how we used to move, how our mother moved, how our father
Mhm.
moved, how our grandparents moved. So we're kind of conditioned sometimes. So
Yeah.
a lot of times it's not really our fault because of conditioning.
Mhm.
Um, so people have a lot of work to do, and I just want to be one of the people to kind of help that. Just put. That's why
Right.
on my Facebook I always try to put inspirational things. 'Cause I know people need to hear that.
Yeah.
They need to hear
There's
things,
enough
and
there's enough crazy talk on there. We
yeah,
don't need to add to that,
yeah.
so it's
And
it's a
whether,
good
and,
thing.
and whether and whether you press like or not, I know you saw it.
Right. Because the insights don't lie. Yes. I know it reached you. Yes, yes. You're
And
just
I don't,
not willing to be
and I don't do it for the likes. I just do it for the people. You know,
who are
that's it.
watching and not watching.
Right,
I
exactly.
love it. I love it. I love it. Now, before we let you go,
Uh-huh.
what have you learned about yourself now that you've become this author? What has this writing journey, being a writer, what has it taught you per se about you?
It taught me that I do have a gift, and I've always had a gift.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just, I'm so humble, and I have a hard time bigging myself up.
Yeah.
And I've had people even at, some of the bigwigs at my job tell me that. They tell me to stop being too humble and tell the people who you are, and what you know, and why you're an
Mm,
expert at it. So
yes.
I won't say learn, but I'm learning more about myself that I do have a gift. It's a special gift, and I need to just go ahead and share it and stop being so humble, not cocky, but confident, and understand
Yeah.
that you have a gift. And I've learned that I do have a gift, and I accept that now.
I love it. So, and I know this is not the Black girl encourage her, right? But I still want to take an opportunity to leave the audience with some words of encouragement. So imagine you're speaking to someone like you, someone who
Right.
struggles with opening up to the world and sharing their gifts and being proud of their gifts and allowing the world in. What words of encouragement would you speak to people in that space that might offer some words of encouragement to them?
Don't worry about any so-called negative feedback from, oh, this person think they're all that. We're never going to satisfy everybody, and you have to
Mhm.
kind of understand that. When you talk, like they say, when you build it, they will come. There's people
Yeah.
who's going to embrace it. There's people who's going to love it, and they're going to run with it. Um,
Mhm.
so those are the ones who's going to pay attention, and so you're doing it for everybody. You're doing it for those who even do have negative stuff, because always have to plant seeds, because you never know when that seed starts growing.
Mhm.
Eventually, a lot of people end up changing it with time, right? So I'll just tell a person who was thinking like me, just go for it. Go for what you know, do it. Don't worry about, feeling like you're braggadocious or anything like that. You have to just do it, because there are people who need you.
Mhm.
There's people who need you. There's people who need to hear what you're saying. And for those who don't want to
Absolutely.
hear it, that's fine. But concentrate on those who want it. I have people in my inbox daily. Hey, I need this type of quote. I need this. I look forward to this quote. Do it for them. Some
Yeah.
people need
Yeah. And unfortunately, there are going to be the naysayers, but they're not your audience,
you. Right.
right? Because there are some
Right.
people who are going to
Right.
love what
Right.
it is that you are putting
Mhm.
out there. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And one of the things that I always encourage people who come to me and say, Shaniqua, I'm thinking about writing a book, but, one of the number one fears is that they think nobody's going to buy it. And I'm like,
Right.
well, first of all, somebody's going to buy it. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
just dispel that.
Yeah.
Somebody is
Yeah.
going to buy it.
Yeah.
And one of the words of encouragement that I used to give when I started writing, I used to say, well, I know for a fact that I'm going to have at least one sale, hands down, without a fact, because mom gonna buy a book, like she gonna buy a book from her
Yeah.
children, right? So
Yes, she
we
is.
automatically can
Yes, she
count
is.
that one
We know that
down,
without a doubt.
like
Without a doubt.
so
Mom
boom,
gonna
I'm a
buy.
published author.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's always going to be that one. And I make it a habit to I purchase my clients' books. So
Yeah.
like I have my copy, like I physically purchased this one. I had book two, and we laughed about this earlier. I had book two, but it's somewhere. So I don't know if
Yeah.
somebody borrowed it or somebody was like, oh, I need that. And,
Yep.
it got sold. I don't know
Yep.
what the gist behind it
Yep.
is,
I
but
can't keep
and
physical
that just means I
copies.
got to go get another copy. That's all.
Yep.
So we got your social media handles going. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram,
Yep.
you're also on LinkedIn. I love when
Yep.
people dibble and dabble into LinkedIn as well.
Yep.
And your books are available on Amazon. So if you
Yes, they
got
are.
Amazon Prime, you can get it in 2 days. And I'm going to have
Yep.
the links in the description box. So I want to make certain that everybody, and when you buy in book one, just go ahead and get book two. Because you don't want to get to the end of book one and be like, darn it, I'm ready for the next one. And now you got to wait another 2 days. So you might as
So
well go
true.
ahead and grab book one and then grab book two and get yourself in position and ready for that book three that's going to go a little bit deeper. So,
Yeah.
Lee, before we let you go, what would you want to say to the people about going and getting your book? Come on, talk to them. Let them know why they need this book.
Hey, if how you handled situations is not working, try something different.
Yeah,
Why not? What do
yeah,
you have to lose? Try something different. What do you have to
absolutely.
lose? You know?
I like that. And they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a
Yes.
different result.
Yeah.
Where they do that
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
What sense does that make?
Yeah.
So, like
Yeah.
he says, try something different. Are you if you're
Try
being
something different.
reactive, if little things are bothering you and they're constantly bothering you, try something different.
Yeah. You want to get that book. Definitely.
Yes. Yes, yes. All right, Lee, hang out for just a second. That was good, good. Listen, everybody, I want you to make certain that you are getting your copies of Lee's book, Deep into the Abyss of the Mind. That's book one. And then there's a book two, looks kind of similar, but the cover is gold. I want you to support this author because we are here on the Black Girl Write Her series. So we are supporting authors. We are connecting people who have a love of writing. We're giving them the examples. So we're going to take away the mystery of how it is to write a book. We're going to give you prime examples of what the journey is like. And you heard from Lee, you know what the journey is like from his take. So I want you all to make certain that you are coming back next week. You're checking out the next message. Be certain that you subscribe and you share, because I know you know somebody that needs to get a hold of all of Lee's books so that they can start thinking a little bit deeper. So until next week, you all be blessed, and I'll see you on the next segment. Take care.